Welcome to Obsession Engineering, stood in a chicken coop. And there is a reason for that. That spotty one back there that's running away, that is a bantam chicken. Now, I didn't know this was an actual thing, but yes, that spotty one down there, that's a bantam chicken. It's an actual thing, which is why many years ago BSA named their bike the Bantam, because apparently those chickens are a bit feisty. And so BSA named their motorbike after a slightly feisty chicken. And that is your random fact for the day. But the next thing we're going to do is go and meet the bloke who has not only that feisty chicken, but an actual bantam, and he's doing a challenge on it. This is Paul, and I've known Paul since I did my apprenticeship at European Gas Turbines in Lincoln. I do quite like the fact that you've actually got at least two of the site toolkits that EGT used to have. So we've known each other a few years, and we've also worked on site together and done some random riding around on motorbikes.
Yeah, you've probably come across these toolkits somewhere on a site before, Dave.
Yeah, probably those exact ones, yes.
Yes, I think you might have actually. I think that one might have come from Rocket.
Oh, okay, yes. In fact, a quick look on the other side of Paul's shed. There's a picture of Paul with his 916 Strada. I rode that bike back from Rocket in Corby.
You did, yeah. And I rode yours at XR.
Yes, we had a basically like early 90s World 2 bike ride home.
Yeah, and we nearly had a head-on with a Ferrari coming the wrong way round the corner, well, on the wrong side of the road.
Yeah, I mean, he obviously thought he owned the road, but he didn't that day.
No, I didn't know. No, you're right.
Right, the reason we're stood today in Paul's shed and looking at Paul's chickens is because Paul is embarking on a stupid adventure.
Yeah.
And on this channel, we like an inappropriate motorbike for a stupid challenge. But there is a bit more of a backstory to this, isn't there, Paul? Because there is a reason you're doing this challenge. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, the reason is I've got cancer. I discovered back in January 2024, I was due to go on a big job, retrofit down at Tate and Lyle, and I got really bad stomach pains. So I got taken into, I went into A&E, sat in A&E for 2 days waiting to be seen. You know what it's like in there? Well, you probably don't, but that's what it is like. Eventually got taken onto the ward and then CT scan, and they said my bowel walls were thickening. You need to go for endoscopy. So I went for endoscopy, and then they basically the probe they put in, same as what we use on the turbines.
Yeah.
And in fact, next time I go, I told them I'm bringing mine because it's smaller. They put the probe in, and basically they couldn't get all the way around the bowel. They found a tumour in my bowel. So they said I'd need an operation to get rid of that, but it'd be okay because it's contained within the bowel. You won't need chemo, anything like that. So I got taken in March for the operation, 6 or 7 hour operation. Oh, yeah, came out. They said you'd be out in 5 days. I was okay up to the 3rd day, then huge pain, really a lot of pain. Eventually got the top man, or one of the top men from the hospital, come and looked at me, and he said you need to go for another operation. So I went in for another operation, and they found all the tubes had leaked where they'd joined them. So then I ended up with sepsis. So sepsis, then in ICU. My wife and my daughter and my son got told that twice, in fact, to come and say goodbye to me because I wouldn't be there in the morning. But luckily I'm still here. But on the second operation, they managed to nick a vein or something and got a bleed on my spleen. So then I had to have a drain put in my side, and I had that in for 14 weeks. I was in hospital for 7 weeks on antibiotics. So I had a fun time with the cancer to start with. They said I'd need chemo because once they did the operation, they said it's come outside the bowel, so you need chemo. But that didn't happen because I had the drain in and they wouldn't give me chemo. And they said, anyway, chemo is only effective up to 10 weeks after the operation. By the time I'd seen them, that was 14 weeks. So no chemo. Then I was okay for a year, basically. And then I had my routine scan. did the endoscope on my bowel again. That was all clear. But then they did a PET scan, and then they said, you've got cancer, bowel cancer of the liver now, which is a secondary cancer, and you've got it in your lymph nodes in your back. If anybody knows, secondary cancers you can't really get rid of, so it's chemotherapy for the rest of my life now. So every 2 weeks it's a blood test on the Monday, Tuesday all day in hospital, then they put a pump on me for 2 days. On Thursday I come home, well, I go to hospital and they take the pump off, and then I come home, and that's that done for another 2 weeks. So fun.
Right, so let's be honest, the prognosis isn't brilliant.
No. To be honest, the part of the treatment is immune therapy and stuff like that, and the lesions in my liver are shrunk. So the prognosis has got better rather than worse.
Good, excellent.
So rather than, having probably 18 months to live, I've probably got a little bit longer. So,
good, yeah.
And I can still do what I want to do. So I can ride my motorbike, I can do this challenge. Well, hopefully I can do this challenge. I've got another 6 months yet. But
obviously, the progression in cancer treatment and medicine in the last few years has been brilliant.
Yep.
And a lot of that has come from Cancer Research UK.
It has, yeah.
And so you're going to be doing a challenge in aid of Cancer Research UK.
I am. It took me a while I wanted to put something back, because obviously I'm taking something out the system. I want to put something back, the same as what you did with your challenge when you did the longest day challenge and stuff like that. I want to do something similar, so I thought, well, what can I do? The challenge is riding an old bike round, well, from here 2,000 miles up and around Scotland and back again, pretty much.
I suppose the next thing we ought to do is go and have a look at a bike, see what inappropriate thing you've got for this challenge.
Yeah. Let's go and have a look then. Well, here's the Bantam. I've had this since 1974, so quite a few years, so I know it quite well. It's like part of the family, really. I got it when I was 12 years old, and I bought it to ride around on the fields, because we lived, my dad worked on a farm, so we had access to farmland, so I used to thrash it around the fields. So what wasn't needed on it, like mud guards, even the exhaust came off at one time, I think, and I used to just thrash it around the fields. So I rebuilt this in 2020, but it's not exactly standard anymore.
Go on, tell us the mods.
It's got a crank rebuilt by Alpha Bearings. The cylinder is bored out to 185, and it's been ported by Ron Phillips at Farron Engineering. Got a centre plug head on it, which has been machined, and it's got a squish band in it, so all the squish area has been set up on it. Right. Or Electrex wheel ignition it's got on there. Various electronics tucked underneath the seat there, and they've agreed to supply me with the spare kit for my trip. I don't think there'll be anything go wrong with it, but this
is not a new bike.
No, and the problem is, obviously it's non-standard Bantam stuff, so you can't just go to a BSA. You can get most stuff for a Bantam, but you can't just pick up a kit like that off the shelf, like so. So they're supplying me with a spare kit to take with me. This is the luggage they used to make years ago, Craven luggage. Dragonfly, BSA Dragonfly have provided that at a very good price for me. They've been excellent, actually. Well, both of Electrics World and Dragonfly.
I noticed there's also a syringe there. I'm guessing that's not for you.
No, that's not for me, no. No, being a two-stroke, obviously, I need lots of oil. It's expensive to run a two-stroke. The oil is more than the petrol.
And I'm guessing it uses quite a lot of oil.
It does, yeah. I'm running this at 30 to 1, so it's not too bad. By the way, I'm starting the trip on the 6th of July. So I want to leave Lincolnshire with the Lincolnshire Bantam Owners Club. And then obviously as I go into Yorkshire, I want to meet up with the Yorkshire Bantam Club area. And then so on, Northumberland and then Scotland, and meet up with those guys and have a ride around with those. The problem I've got though is I can't really publicise where I'm going to be in advance.
Just in case.
Yeah, exactly.
you don't make it that far.
No.
So what we're saying, Paul, is that you're taking on a 2,000-mile trip across what in places will actually be quite challenging terrain for the little Bantam, but you're doing it on a bike that you've had for 51 years that is non-standard and tuned, and you've got, if we're honest, very little backup for this. So
yeah, very, very little backup at all. You know, I'm not having a van following me or anything like that. You know, you can rebuild it by the side of the road. You know, so I can have this. I could even have the engine out in like probably half an hour and have it stripped down by the side of the road if I wanted to.
Yeah.
You know, and you need very little tools to do it. You know, it's all a half-inch 7/16 spanner and stuff like that, and a couple of Allen keys and you're away. So easy.
So Paul has already started his fundraising, so thank you to everybody at the Newark Classic bike show a couple of weeks ago who donated to Paul's fund. He even let Henry Cole and Steve Plater have a go on the Mighty Bantam. The important thing for this challenge though is our old employer, Siemens Gas Turbines, they have promised to put in the same amount that we raise. And so we need to raise a lot of money because I think it'll be fun to make Siemens have to pay quite a lot.
So do I.
Right, so give generously. Right, I suppose the next thing we need to do really is fire that up and get some two-stroke smells. Fuel's on, carb tickled, and second kick, Paul, that's pretty good.
Yeah. I had it going earlier. Although it started second kick then. Can't beat two-stroke, can you? I started this morning and it immediately took me back to when I bought it when I was 12. That smell of two-stroke oil.
Yeah, I'm going to tell the viewers, if this was smell-o-vision, you would want to change places with me because two-strokes are just cool, aren't they?
They're brilliant, yeah. I love two-strokes. Everyone's got to have a two-stroke, haven't they?
I think so, yeah.
At least once in their life.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, I prefer to borrow two-strokes and then give them back when they break.
Yeah, I mean, it's no LC, is it? But, I mean, it's fun.
Yeah.
You know, it's great. I love them.
It takes them for chasing chickens.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
If you think Paul is slightly mentally unstable by wanting to ride a really quite small, really quite old, tuned two-stroke on a really quite long road trip, I think you would be correct. But he is doing it for a good cause. And so I'm sure you'll have been slightly touched by Paul's story, and I want to see him succeed on getting that little Bantam, that little chicken chaser, all around Scotland in a few months' time. So please, I'm going to put a link in the description and a link in the corner. Click on that, give money to Paul so he can go fighting cancer on the little Bantam, and we will be back soon because once the salt's off the road, we're going to have to go for a test ride so I can tell you how terrible that Bantam really is. So thank you for watching. Please give generously to Cancer Research UK and join us again soon for some more motorbike fun.
Thank you.